as somebody who responds frequently and has responded throughout my career, I have no problem, and I cannot be a hypocrite in this situation and say I have a problem with him responding. Now, his response, I do have a bit of a problem with, because you left too much gray area. You left too much up for interpretation by the outside world, and that's why we're sitting here talking about it now. Because if you read it just initially, your gut reaction will be like, dang, is he taking a shot at his quarterback? Yeah. And clearly he's not. Clearly he has a lot of love and respect for his quarterback. They have a great relationship. But if somebody didn't know that, if somebody just took what he said and out of context, they would say he might be taking a shot at his quarterback. And that's not true, but you leave it to that, and you're going to have to answer questions about that now because you went back at them with something where you weren't as clear as you possibly could have been. And now they're going to be sitting there saying, well, is there beef between Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown? No, there isn't, but that's what we'll speculate now.
What did he say, Richard, that makes you say that?
He missed the throw.
It's it. He said he missed the throw.
Yeah.
He just missed the throw. I don't,
right.
Yeah, I guess maybe I'm too dialed into it, right? I've played the position. I understand the body language. I understand the route tree. I understand what they're looking at and what they're trying to do. And yes, Devontae Smith is coming underneath on the crosser. But like you know, and I know, Richard, and to a degree, you know, Skip, from being at practices and covering everything, these shot plays, these sort of things that happen in games are repeated in practice on every single card, 7-on-7, red zone, whatever we're doing, that particular play is open 99.9% of the time in practice.
To Devontae or AJ?
To AJ.
Yeah.
And so what happens in a game is the quarterback drops back and it's going to be open. We got the look. Everything is perfect. This is exactly what we know. And he pre-snap reads it and says, I'm going to throw it. And then by the time he realizes it's probably going to fall short, he didn't get over the top of him. I probably could have came underneath to Devontae, is probably not being told to him in practice, if it ain't clean, dump it down. If it ain't clean, dump it down. Now, what people will say is he should be doing that anyway. It doesn't work like that, man. I've been in so many situations where I've been the decoy in understanding that we're trying to get the football to somebody else. But I've also been the number one guy in the primary and understand that we're trying to get me the football on this certain down and distance part of the field in this particular play. And when we get in the game, it's not the look we thought, and we still try to complete it, and it falls incomplete. And the first thing people try to say is, oh, he didn't get open. He didn't do. No, man, sometimes the defense do win. That's just the reality of it. Sometimes the defense does win.
So, Keyshawn, what good did it do ultimately for AJ to defend himself like that on Twitter?
Because he's tired of people. I'm not, you got to say some egregious things out to me on social media for me to respond to. You got to be like bad language and going after my family and all that sort of weirdness. But he's tired as somebody like Richard who, they enjoy the social media aspect of things and communicating with their fans or whatnot. He's getting tired of people saying the only reason why he's getting the opportunities is because when you go all the way back to week 2, I believe, that was where he allegedly had a confrontation on the sideline with his quarterback. And then everybody took his communication, his animate communication, using his hands and talking and frowning and going back and forth as to buddy ball, which means you got to get me the football all the time. So he goes on a tear, on a 6-7 week tear.
He did.
And then all of a sudden,
it was 125 or more yards for 6 straight games.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And so now all of a sudden, Skip, people are looking at it and saying, well, if he would have just threw the ball to Devontae Smith instead of trying to throw it to you because you are going to get mad at him and you're going to, have a hissy fit, I don't blame him. Because that's out of that's not who he is. He's trying to let you know, don't paint me like that. I went through it my entire career. Well, some of it was self-doing because I wrote a book said, just give me the damn balls, Skip. And then the first thing people say is every single time all I'm doing is asking for the ball, which is dead ass wrong. That is not the case. But people will interpret things the way they do.
Well, you could understand why they would think you want the ball all the time.
Well, I said, I admit it.
Saying, give me the ball.
I admit it. Just give me the damn ball. New York Times bestseller still sells. Go out there on Amazon and buy it for Christmas.
You can get it right now for Christmas, right?
Amazon. Come on now, it's still relevant to this day.
It is.
But I agree with you, Key, because you go through these reps. That's one of the plays. That's one of the plays that is redlined in practice. Like that's one they're going to call that they expect to be an explosive play. And hey, we need you to put this one up. We don't need you to check the ball down. We don't need you to throw it to Devontae. We need you. Hey, if we get one-on-one, put it up to AJ and let's see what happens. He got the one-on-one. He put the ball up. He just missed it. You know, and that is what it is. But you're right, Key, that they've gone through that in practice over and over. It's an out and up double move. They expected it to be better. I don't know. The way he threw it, I don't know if he expected him to sit it down, though. You know what I mean? Like an out and up comeback.
I don't
either. But where he put the ball, it almost looks like he expected him to sit it down, maybe, because I just don't see him missing by 5 yards like this.
Keyshawn, Richard, all this is irrelevant, should be irrelevant, because he's A.J. Brown and the fan is some fan. That's all that matters. I do blame him for firing back because it just doesn't matter what some fan says about you on Twitter. You got bigger fish to fry. You got more important things to worry about because you're so much better than this. You're so much better than that follower or that fan. You're way better. You're A.J. freaking Brown. Your team has lost 3 straight games. You're frustrated. You had a great stretch, and you were on fire, and your team got to 10-1. And your team was very fortunate to win 4 straight games that it did before it had a 3-game skid that it's now in the middle of. Now you got 3 winnable games. You got to get back on that horse and ride it home, and you still got a chance to have a great season, and who knows, maybe even get back to the Super Bowl. But the point is, I don't know why AJ would stoop to respond to that because it's all irrelevant. It's not like if another cornerback, if somebody on another team took a shot, maybe you'd want to respond on Twitter, fight fire with fire. But this is just some fan on Twitter. You're so much above that it doesn't count. It shouldn't count for you. You don't respond, right?
Look. Here, you say
this wasn't about your family.
No,
right?
I understand.
Yeah.
I don't play in this era. Richard Sherman consistently tries to knock me in the head to get me to believe if I played in this era that I would be responding. I've gone back in my mind over and over, not just about A.J. Brown, but there's other players, Michael Parsons. There's different people that respond to different criticisms. I had to respond to writers, because those are the only ones I could see that would write something and they would try to come be in your locker. So now I can communicate with
face to face.
But I'm gonna respond face to face with them. I didn't have social media.
No.
Even though some of it might have been coming around late in my career, I just don't do it. He's responding because he's tired of it, as he said. You keep trying to demean my character, is what he's saying. Not just to this fan, many fans across the sports spectrum continue to say A.J. Brown is the reason he's getting the balls because of this. And A.J. Brown is that. And look what he's doing to the quarterback that. It happens. And as a player, Richard knows, when you are watching these games on television and the television announcers is saying, oh, there's an argument over there on the sideline. It looks like that. And that's not even an argument. We're having a conversation. Right. But what happens is the people that are calling the games then seek in the mind of others what they're watching for them to be able to say, oh, it looks like they're having an argument. That's just what so-and-so said. And you get tired of that as a player. You just do. I mean, you get tired of those sort of things as a player.
So you get tired, and that's the thing. Oh, sorry, Skip.
No, that's all right. Look, every wide receiver I've ever known, and I've known them back to the 1970s, was a little crazy because the position made them a little bit crazy. The position is a dependent position. You can't control your fate. What's your line about?
I need 11.
You need 11, including the play caller,
because you're taking me out. I got to do my job, and once you remove me from the 11, the coordinator has to step in and do his job.
You can run the greatest route you've ever run in your life. It's perfection. It's beauty. You smoke a future Hall of Fame cornerback, and you look back, and the ball went to somebody else. And you're like, what are you doing, Vinny? You're like, right?
But see, you know, like AJ said, AJ knew it was a shot play. Yeah. It's his ball. Mm-hmm. There's no question. They're going to him. They're not going to Devontae. Yeah. So I already know when we call a certain route or a certain play, I'm either going to lift the coverage, as I said before, or I'm going to be the main guy that's going to get. I already know. You just know. This isn't drawing up plays and telling the quarterback, drop back and find an open man. Yeah. This isn't pick up basketball.
Go, Richard.
Here's the thing. The hardest part about this is AJ's frustrated about the loss as much as anybody. I'm sure he's a leader on his team. He's a competitor. Yeah. But there are back in the day, there were very few ways in which fans could touch players in their homes, in their private time, in their bed, on their couch, sitting there. But when you get this social media, he's reading that while he's at his house. While he's in his house, in his home, in the privacy, he's frustrated, venting to wherever he's venting to. His emotions, he's going through whatever he needs, his process to deal with a loss. And while he's doing that, he's reading social media, and that's when they're poking at him. They're poking the bear. They're poking the bear. They're poking the bear. That's when you get a response. It's because he's at his house. No matter where you're at, no matter what you're going through, social media is existing. Fans can touch you. Fans can put things in front of your face. They can put messages in front of your face now. They can do things that weren't possible before. And so there will be more situations like this where guys respond, and that's what happened. They caught him in a vulnerable moment.
They can't touch you unless you let them in your house. You have to open it up and start reading it.
Open the app.
Okay, you can just say no to it, and if you don't open it, they can't come in your door, right? They can't get in your psyche.
It feels to me, for this, I don't know what I call it, generation or whatever, it feels to me that it's very hard, and that's why I say the social media thing is a disease. It really is. And it's extremely hard for people to ignore it, Skip. When we was playing, like Richard said, I got letters in the mail about, just derogatory, and my assistant would open it, say, you want to read this? What is it? Blah, blah, blah. I'll throw that in the trash. It's different now. Yeah. Even if he doesn't open it, it may be on one of those timeline things. He just happens to see it. You just don't know. Yeah. And I don't blame him if that's what he wants to do to clear his mind. Plus, on top of that, Richard and Skip, he's looking across the field. And guess who he's looking at? His buddy. Balling out in the end to help his team win. Yeah. You don't think he's like, oh, God, that's a nightmare. That's a nightmare when you got the guy opposite of you balling in the end and you can't do what you need to do to help your team win. Yeah. So my final 2 cents on this. I'm not sure anybody gets bashed on social media more than I do. At least that's what my wife tells me, but I don't read a word of it. And I always tell her I don't want to hear it. Some of the stuff they said?
Do you know?
No, I don't.
I'll bet you do. I know Richard does.
No, Rich probably does.
Yeah, I definitely do.
I don't pay that stuff any attention. Anything that's said, people got to tell me.
All right. Neither do I. Back to the Dallas Cowboys, because Jerry Jones has summed up Sunday's loss at Buffalo saying, we didn't finish. You didn't finish? You didn't start.
Right.
No mercy, no mercy, no mercy.
Thanks for watching, Undisputed fans. Do you want more highlights from the show? Make sure to click that subscribe button for all the exclusive content from Undisputed.